This is the game of the year.
This is the game of the year, right?
Game of the year.
A wham block, outside in by George Kittle. And then this is just rush after contact. This is Jimmy Ward's in good position. This is just scramble drill. They teach the receivers, if you're running horizontal, you're running.
The Philadelphia Eagles are going back to the Super Bowl.
I can't wait for this game.
Woo-hoo! Game of the year. San Francisco 49ers head to Philadelphia, take on the Philadelphia Eagles, a rematch of last year's NFC Championship game. It's going to be a good one. Let's get into it, y'all. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Ryan Tigey, back in action in front of a camera and a microphone. Had to jump on. Game of the year. The two NFC Titans of the NFL are about to battle it out head-to-head in a rematch of last year's somewhat fluky NFC Championship game. This shit is about to be sick. Now, in other videos of mine, normally I would talk about how the 49ers absolutely routed the Seattle Seahawks, how Philadelphia barely edged out the Buffalo Bills, but still got the dub. But we ain't got time for that. We're moving on to this week, the 49ers versus the Philadelphia Eagles, and I cannot wait for this game to happen. Now, for those maybe who have lived under a rock, I don't know, you'd be bizarre to me if you didn't already know this, but following the horrific tragedy of a dog shit game for the NFC Championship, no one liked it. NFL didn't like it. Fans didn't like it. Players didn't like it. Because of that, with Brock Purdy getting almost immediately injured in the first series of the game by Hassan Reddick, and then Josh Johnson, our backup quarterback, immediately getting a concussion, the 49ers had no quarterback. So the way the team felt is they really never had a legit chance or opportunity to take on a highly anticipated and obviously massive game, being the NFC Championship game, playing to go to the Super Bowl. Now, Philadelphia obviously went on to go to the Super Bowl due to the flukish game that occurred, but they still won and advanced. Although they didn't win the Super Bowl, nonetheless, since that time has gone on, there has been a lot of banter back and forth between both teams. Last year, throughout the offseason, and now already leading up into this game. So let's hear a quick recap of all the players talking their shit.
Slay, I respect Slay.
What about Bradbury?
Trash.
Bradbury's trash? He the one that made.
Did you see the play that Brandon had? The second play of the game, he got hurt. Purdy got hurt.
Come on.
The separation, it's just like.
It's football. You gonna make some plays?
So for me, it's like, bring it on. You know, y'all kept on talking. Y'all talked about this all off season, through the Super Bowl, after the playoff game. So it's like, better be prepared, man, because I know I will be, and I know that I'm going to do my best to make sure the team is ready too.
The chance they're going to get the first time they drop back, we go break their quarterback, both of them. And, so I don't know what chance they would have got, but shout out to him.
There was a lot of boo-hoos last year, a lot of crying, a lot of what if, a lot of this, a lot of that. They get a chance to come back in here, line that up and prove it again.
Said what I said, and and they dragged it on or whatever, but whatever the case may be, but kind of like I stated yesterday, at the end of the day, I said it, but I don't regret it.
This game has a lot of anticipation, not only from the fans, the league, but the players. So let's break down both teams. Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles have been, once again, a great team this year. They've been getting a lot of shit talked about them, I guess is a good way to put it, because of the fact that their wins have been ugly. Whatever the case, in my opinion, a win's a win in the NFL. Doesn't fucking matter how you do it. If you win, it's all that matters. And right now, the Philadelphia Eagles sit 10-1 at the top of the NFC with the number 1 seed. The 49ers, 8-3, ran into a little 3-game skid, but clearly are back on track and absolutely rolling right now. So it's a great time for the boys to be buzzing around, heading into Philly against a hostile crowd, ready to play some ball. So when we take a look at the Philadelphia Eagles, they continue to find ways to win. They have gone through a gauntlet of the last couple of games playing at Kansas City, edging out the win. Then they play Buffalo at home, Sunday Night Football, edge out the win in OT. Now, when we look at both sides of the ball, their offense, it's without question, is very good. Jalen Hurts is playing an MVP caliber level of football. What a lot of people don't talk about, I know historically when people like to look at quarterbacks and their numbers, they look at touchdown passes versus interceptions, all that kind of shit. But what oftentimes gets missed is the number of running touchdowns he has. And he has been balling like it's nobody's business and never panics. I think he's somewhat of a psycho to me, that by how calm he remains during any part of the game, whether they're up big, whether they're down, doesn't matter what quarter, what period it is. He always remains even keel, level headed, whereas their coach acts more like a player and Jalen acts more like a coach. Interesting dynamic there, but he's been playing MVP level football. And although the one thing I notice about their offense is they do come in little spurts in terms of they will have a quarter, a couple minutes where their team just cannot do much on the offensive side. And that is an opportunity that the Niners need to create, but also they need to take advantage of it. They have two unbelievable receivers, AJ Brown, shout out, got him on my fantasy this year, and Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith, more of the just decisive route runner, got a lot of speed and catches the ball, even though last year, caveat, when he caught the ball, when they ultimately scored their first touchdown, it wasn't a fucking catch. I didn't forget about that, but nonetheless, he's been having another phenomenal year. So they got two dudes who can get the job done on the outside. AJ Brown, big, physical, fast, catches essentially everything that comes his way. And so those two receivers are a problem. Another upgrade that they had is on the running back side, they had a big pickup this offseason. They got DeAndre Swift from Detroit. Last year, they had Miles Sanders. DeAndre Swift has been a major upgrade in the running back position for them. The dude has vision, hits the hole. He's shifty. He's fast in a straight line, and he will lower his shoulders and run through people. So they have had a massive upside from having DeAndre Swift in their backfield, and you can clearly see it. And then, of course, you go to their O-line. Probably, in my opinion, I think the best offensive line in the NFL. Now, with Lane Johnson, didn't play last game, their future Hall of Famer, stud right tackle, he was out due to injury. I don't see any situation where he doesn't play, so I'm assuming he's going to play. So they'll be as close as they can be into full strength in their offensive line. Their offensive line, a lot of vets, and they push bodies. The big boys up front, they don't fuck around. And, of course, their infamous brotherly shove is something that, although annoying, just because I'm an opposing team's fan, they never seem to not get that when they run that play, the brotherly shove. So they're stout in all facets on the offensive side. Now, when you take a look at their defense, that's where I think they've taken a step back. The defensive line is unbelievable. They got star-studded all over the defensive line. They have guys that they can rotate, so they have a lot of depth in the defensive line. So those guys are going to get shit done. Obviously, Hassan Reddick, Jalen Carter, the rookie out of Georgia, just absolutely throws his big body in the middle. So it's very hard to run up the A and B gaps whenever they're playing opposing teams, and he is on. Then they got Jordan Davis, an even more insanely massive human being, up at defensive tackle. So they got dudes, Graham, they got dudes all over the place on the defensive line. Their defensive line is stacked up there in terms of best defensive lines in the NFL. But when you start to go back into their linebackers and their DBs, that's where I feel like they've dropped off. I'm not here to say that I've watched an insane amount of Philadelphia Eagle games, but considering they're the biggest threat to getting the number one seed over the 49ers, I definitely keep tabs on them. A couple things stick out. One, their DBs have not been playing nearly as well as they did last year. Although they got some studs, specifically Slay on the outside corner, they are susceptible to giving up yards, specifically receiving, which then in return obviously opens up the run game. Their defense is ranked 20th out of 32 teams in points allowed per game. 4 games that they've won this year, they've given up an average of 430 yards in those 4 games. 430 yards. When they played the Buffalo Bills, their very last game, they gave up over 500 yards. So their defense, if you can just hold the D-line just long enough, they are susceptible, and that's where their defense is sus, and we could take advantage of it. The one thing that concerns me about their defense, as I continue to go back to their D-line, is the right side offensive line, guard and tackle. That's where it seems like a lot of the pressure comes from. Of course, a lot of the sacks come from. We tend to run to the left more. Obviously, best left tackle in the game, Trent Williams, no big deal. But he can only handle the left side. And we don't have another Trent Williams on the right side. So that is where we're susceptible. Hassan Reddick lines up on that side. And obviously, we had the injury right side, but we don't have McGlinchey as our right tackle anymore. We do have a backup right guard, Feliciano. Now, Feliciano did really good as he filled in for Aaron Banks 2 games ago when we played the Bucks. And of course, he's going to play better when you got Trent Williams to the left of you. And Trent Williams can clean up and make up for a lot of mistakes or MAs. So to no one's surprise, at least not mine, in Seattle, that's where we saw the weakness. Feliciano on the right side did not do as good or that great. So that's what scares me about this matchup specifically, is their D-line going against our right side of our offensive line. Another stat that I found quite interesting is they are ranked 31st out of 32 teams. Their defense is ranked 31st in giving up third down conversions. So as long as the Niners can keep it somewhat manageable on third down, they should be able to convert, because Philly has shown they're not that good at getting off the field when it's on third down. So that is something the Niners have been good at in converting third downs this year. So as long as we keep it something manageable, we should be able to keep the ball rolling, move the chains, go score tugs. What is this game going to come down to? When you look at the 49ers, as I mentioned earlier, the 49ers have been absolutely fucking rolling. Their 3-game skid was a lot of different things going on. The Niners have clearly fixed that, and they have been rolling ever since. As I've said in my other videos, Chase Young, his impact is unbelievable. People were not giving that trade enough credit. And what has he done? Oh, wait, teams now can't put 3 bodies and solely focus on Nick Bosa. Chase Young's mere presence causes issues where now you're starting to see teams attempt, because we have so many dudes, Eric Armstead, Javon Hargrave, thank you, Philly, Bosa. We got so many dudes on that defensive line now. And we've also added to our depth where teams are, at least Seattle tried to go more one-on-one. And what does that do? Nick Bosa has been leading the NFL in sacks since I believe it's week 10. Chase Young's been dominant. Eric Armstead's been getting home. Javon Hargrave's been getting consistent sacks and pressure. So our defensive line, the boys have been eaten, and they need to do that this game against Jalen Hurts, especially when you have the mobility factor. The one reason I feel confident this week, even though historically the Niners have not been good with mobile quarterbacks, Fred fucking Warner, best linebacker in the NFL without question. Don't even try to debate it. I'm guessing he's going to be the one spying Jalen. So if he tries to take off and make some runs, Fred Warner's going to shut that shit down for the most part. He'll keep it under control, I'd say. This game is going to be another big wide receiver game, just like it was in Tampa Bay, where they had a stout physical defensive line. Brandon Ayuk went off. This is going to be a very similar game. And what is that going to come down to? Brock Purdy being Brock Purdy. Purdy has been absolutely balling. I hate that he's not in more MVP conversations. Every time I hear people talk about him being an MVP that's part of the national media, it feels almost like they're forced to do it. The dude throws darts all over the field and has all the balls in the world to just take shots whenever he thinks the play is there. And he will hang in the pocket knowing he's about to get smoked and still throw an absolute dime to his playmakers, and those boys take care of the rest. Brock Purdy leads the entire NFL in completion percentage. He has a 69.9% completion percentage. If you just compare that to Hurts, to talk apples to apples, Hurts is at a 67.4 completion percentage. Both good, but Brock Purdy is at the top of the NFL when it comes to completion percentage. And he delivers a strike all the time, every time. And because of the way the Eagles like to get after the quarterback and how good they are at stopping the run, I have a feeling Kyle Shanahan's going to come out throwing the rock. Last time we did that, we had massive success, again, going back to the Bucks. And what's going to happen, it's going to stretch their defense. They're going to take away their ability to just pin their ears back and rush. They are going to have to be thinking about their responsibilities because Brock Purdy's going to deliver the ball. And that's where we'll get the run game going because they'll be stretched. And the best part about Brock, again, I say this over and over again because I think I'm excited about it and I think Shanahan absolutely loves it, is the fact that Brock can throw and deliver outside the numbers. So that is something that they're going to have to think about. And when we hit those plays, it's going to start to stretch your field. Throw it outside the numbers in a fade route. Throw it outside with a deep post. Throw it up the middle to Kittle on a seam route. That's going to get the ball moving. And then what do we have? Oh, just the best running back in the game, Christian McCaffrey, who is going to start utilizing the Kyle Shanahan master playbook with the outside zone scheme. And that's how we're going to start running the rock and move the chains. And Christian McCaffrey, of course, not only being Brock Purdy's favorite safety net outlet, he's going to have a huge game, I believe. And it's going to start with Brock Purdy stretching the defense out. And then Kyle Shanahan's outside zone run scheme is going to come in and it's just going to be hitting them from every aspect, the run and the pass. And it's going to be fun. And I cannot wait to see how they execute and how they come out hyped as fuck. Now, I will say this game means a lot more to the Niners than it does the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles are comfortably in the 1 seed. So even if they do lose this game, it doesn't really mean much to them. The Eagles will have their second loss, and that's assuming that the Niners are just able to win out. And by the way, the Niners have to play the Baltimore Ravens, who apparently are pretty good. So the 49ers have a much harder schedule moving forward versus what the Eagles do. The Eagles just are currently at the tail end of their gauntlet. They play Dallas the following week. So the Niners need to win this game if they're even trying to get in position to get the number 1 seed in the NFC, which they all want. All the players talk about it. They need to win this game. And this game obviously means a lot more to the Niners than it does to the Eagles, just from a seeding standpoint. Now, I think both teams are going to get up because this is becoming a little bit of a rivalry and there's some animosity. So it's going to be fun. And I think Debo is going to be another major piece in this, regardless if he's a decoy, he hits those little pop screens, or he's in the backfield. Debo, when he gets like this, he's fucking scary and he's hard to handle when he's fired up like this. So to wrap it up, it's going to be a great game. We all know that, understand that. It still has massive implications where the Niners can put themselves in a position to potentially get to the number 1 seed, but they got to take care of this game. And that's what I believe they're going to do. It is forecasted. I think it's like a 50% chance of rain, which is just something to have in the back of your mind, something to think about, especially if you're betting on this game. The only other rain game that I've seen Brock Purdy playing where is actually, kind of consistently raining was Cleveland, where he didn't play his best game. The ball was slipping out of his hands. I think that was just kind of a one-off. Some of the slow-mo throws that you see, he wasn't even gripping the laces because he had to get the ball out, because obviously Cleveland's defense is unbelievable. So I'm not too concerned about it, but it is something to be aware of. But I think the biggest advantage comes from is the 49ers haven't played since Thursday night at Thanksgiving. They have had their quote-unquote mini bye. Our players are healthy, and that is give Kyle Shanahan that much more time to put his magic, scheme up plays, and be ready to fucking roll. Whereas the Eagles, their team has played a shitload of snaps coming off of Sunday Night Football, playing against Buffalo, the week prior playing the Kansas City Chiefs, both of those being super physical games going into OT, aka more snaps. So the biggest advantage right now is the Niners have more rest, more time to game plan. I cannot wait to see what he draws up and what he schemes up to get players wide open, which happens every single game. So excited about this one. Cannot wait. Sunday's approaching quick. Like, subscribe, comment, hit me up. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.
Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up.